Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here Monday night after WWE's Monday Night Raw. They're going to be debuting a new show, which, well, honestly, they're not really debuting the show. They had a special showing of one show the week of Hot Rod Roddy Piper when they did a Hot Rod week on the WWE Network. They showed a new show called Table for Three where they talked about the WrestleMania legends. And on this show, Roddy Piper, Mean Gene Okerlund, and Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, sat down and had a discussion over breakfast one day talking about the way things used to be back in the days when they were putting together WrestleMania and the problems with Mr. T and everything that went with it along the way. We heard a lot of road stories. There was no script. Definitely Mean Gene Okerlund was the guy trying to get things on pace and getting them along for the show. But definitely, you got to be thinking that if this was Ric Flair and Jim Ross from SummerSlam weekend a few months ago, Mean Gene Okerlund probably would have been getting the hook from WWE because these guys were wild and they were crazy. It was early in the morning, so they weren't drinking, but definitely they were all over the map. I think that Roddy Piper or Paul Orndorff even told the story about somebody taking a dump in somebody's stuff back in the day. But they were just talking about ribs and how they got through the day-to-day life of being on the road. Where sometimes you would hear these guys would wrestle and be on the road 60 days in a row before being able to go home, just basically to take one day off and then get back out there on the road again and live the life of a WWE superstar. Nobody said it was going to be easy, and that's the way it's going to be done. But on Monday night, after Monday Night Raw, they want us to tune in to the WWE Network. They're going to be showing a new show, Table for Three. The guest this time is going to be The New Day. I think this is coming off of the success of the Chris Jericho podcast just a few weeks ago when The New Day was a guest. They talked about basically where they were before The New Day, how they got put together, what happened with their group. Everybody can remember they came in, Xavier Woods came in almost like a Malcolm X character. It reminded me a lot about when they were having a match. It was Owen Hart, I believe, against the British Bulldog on Monday Night Raw, and they were fighting, and then Bret Hart came down there and basically formed the Hart Foundation, basically saying, you can't put us against each other. And from there, they would become one of the solid groups inside WWE as a heel stable. And everybody knows, their feud that they would have against D-Generation X and the New Age Outlaws. And they were a big part of gang warfare where you could put these guys out there, whether it was against a new... what was that damn biker group? It was just on the tip of my tongue, and I forgot about them. But definitely they talked about, Xavier Woods coming up through TNA, how he got into the how he got into the Performance Center, and that was a good story. I honestly thought that WWE saw something in Xavier Woods and TNA, and then once he left there, they approached him with a contract. I didn't know that he basically just showed up one day and applied. I thought that was really funny, and basically once it was Xavier Woods and Biggie Langston noticing that WWE really had nothing going on with their characters. Xavier Woods had a debut where he was going up against Brodus Clay, and then within a few weeks they were done with that angle, and there was nothing for him to do except get beat up by Rusev. And Biggie Langston, was Intercontinental Champion. One day he loses it, and basically they got the writers telling him, hey, you better start coming up with some stuff because we don't really have anything for you. And that's when Biggie Langston thought that maybe they had made a mistake. They had brought him up to the main roster too soon, and he would be going back down to NXT. He said what saved him, honestly, was that CM Punk had asked to work a match with him on Monday Night Raw, and Punk had a good match. Biggie had a good match, and it rubbed off on him well. And they were able to find some things for him to do. But the New Day really, repackaged these guys up together. I remember as they were having matches, they were supposed to be these killer baby faces because Vince thought they were going to be able to preach positivity, and everybody was going to clap along and smile and say, oh yeah, look at these guys, I like them. But instead, people died for these guys to be heels. When they debuted, people thought they were going to be the new Nation of Domination or something like that, and that's not what they ended up being. So people were like, this isn't what I want. I want something else. And, they would boo them, and it would be the night after WrestleMania, where people came up with the New Day sucks, as Xavier Woods would clamp along on the ring, and, they all got a big smile. Like, we're going to go to Vince. We're going to tell him we need to be heel. We're going to make this big. They did this subtle heel turn, and they just kept dialing it up from there and there. They had the number one contenders match against the Lucha Dragons, where Xavier Woods, much like Hornswoggle, hid underneath the ring, grabbed one of the Lucha Dragons' legs, making it where they couldn't answer the 10 count. The New Day won the number one contendership to go after the tag team titles via count out, and then they would go on to become tag team champions. And they've done some fun things along the way. For the most part, they've been a tag team, but if you think about Money in the Bank, where Kofi Kingston was actually involved in the Money in the Bank match, while Xavier Woods and Biggie Langston were able to, put the tag team titles out there on the line. So, you really have their factions splitting up and going in two different directions, going after two different goals, but at the end of the day, they still come together for one cause, and that's to preach positivity. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a good show. The last one, like I said, with Piper, Orndorff, and Mean Gene Okerlund was good. So we'll see where we go. Kofi Kingston has never been one of my favorite guys. Xavier Woods, with his Up, Down, Down YouTube channel, is catching on a lot more with me. But Biggie Langston is always the guy that I've seen a lot in, and I'm hoping that we see a lot from him in the future. So we'll see what goes down with this. As long as it follows the lines of the Chris Jericho podcast, I think we're going to be okay.